G'day trendsetters. The first thing I need to get out of the way immediately is this is not a pity party video. There's already way too much of that bullshit happening on cycling's various YouTube channels and social media. With that said, let's get cracking. Yesterday, May 4th, 2024, I was unfortunate to hit the deck. To crash, if you prefer, during a rather advanced level gravel cycling ride here in my North Florida residence near Gainesville, Florida. Long story short, a rider in front of me tapped his brakes during a rather dodgy section, and considering I was very close to his rear wheel, had nowhere to go, ran into the rider who I believe might have hit the deck. I don't remember exactly. It happened very, very fast. And I somersaulted over the handlebars. I remember seeing the sky for a second, thinking, this is going to f***ing hurt. And then kaslam, down on my back. In my circumstance, I mostly blame myself. The rider who was ahead of me was admittedly inexperienced, but I should have known better. I should have read the situation better and left more of a gap. And here we are today, where I'm wearing a sling, mostly to keep the other humanoids away from me. I might be a little bit touchy right now, but all things considered, this crash could have been far worse. Before I go into my clavicle recovery and associated injuries, when you're riding at events where there's plenty of riders who you may not be familiar with or may not know, it might be wise for you to leave a bit of a gap in front of you. I typically do that at some of these events, so that way you've got more room to respond should something dodgy happen. With that said, let's now talk about some of my background involving this injury. This is not my first rodeo, etc. involving collarbone fractures, breaks, or shoulder injury. I've been riding bicycles for well over 30 years, which gives you an idea of my age. But mentally inside I'm about 18, so there you go. My first collarbone break happened around 1999 somewhere. Totally my fault. I was coming off a cold and my brain was rather foggy, not paying attention. I touched someone's wheel in front of me and down I went with a nasty break that required surgery. At the time I was more pissed off about my brand new jersey that I completely bloody trashed. That surgery on my left clavicle, which is the area affected by this latest crash, was plated, and unfortunately about 6 months later the outermost bolt popped free. So it was a rather unpleasant sight. But as luck would have it, I happened to crash again about a year later. I don't recall the circumstances, but when you do these crazy group rides like I used to do many years ago on the road bike, I hit the deck and this collarbone broke. I said to myself, hey, this might be an opportunity to deplate this left one and plate the right one. And that's exactly what happened. Now, with that said, I really wish the plate was still in my left shoulder, because my right shoulder, which has been plated since about 2000, has been bloody rock solid. This left clavicle of mine, which I'll show you momentarily, has been broken, fractured, at least 4 times. Now you might be thinking, bloody hell, this guy has no idea how to ride a bike. But when you think about it, I've been riding since 1991 and now we're into 2024. Well, that's quite a long time. Well, that's not a bad average, I think, really, considering the crazy rides I've done during my history as a bike rider. That's the one thing I need to mention. You ride a bike, you might crash. It's part of riding a bicycle, but it beats sitting on the couch. So before I show this clavicle off to you, a little bit more history about it. After being deplated, I broke it again. That was definitely during a road ride, and I remember vividly I took a corner way too hot, crashed hard, etc. And the next break on this clavicle was on a gravel road. I was riding left-hand turn, a road I'd ridden many times, just lost front wheel on some loose dirt. I mean, I was riding at about 15 mile an hour. Or 23 k an hour. Nothing crazy, just hit something wrong and down I went. Thus, I've had quite a bit of experience with healing this injury. Here is how it looks. Now you can see it there. There's a lot of swelling around here and also around my neck. Now, this tenting here, that was from the previous break. Based on the fact I was able to ride home from yesterday's crash about 25 miles and I was able to get out of the saddle. Don't think there's any displacement, just a lot of swelling, and I'm regularly taking ibuprofen to help keep this swelling down. In fact, the swelling from yesterday, it is substantially less than after the crash, etc. My career as a shoulder model is totally ruined. Look how beautiful that looks, trendsetters. Lovely. For my recovery, I'm definitely going to be laying around the house quite a bit and icing with ice packs or so on to help reduce the swelling. I not only have swelling around the clavicle area, but also my lower back. In my rear left pocket, there was a micro compressor. You can check that out, linked in the description below, but I landed full on that micro compressor, which usually I carry in my top tube pack, and most of the pain from this crash is in my left lower back and middle upper back. In addition to icing, ibuprofen, that's generally the only drug I take. I do not imbibe in any medications whatsoever. What works for you, fantastic. Doesn't work for me. And I don't imbibe in multivitamins and so on. For my athletic pursuits during this short period of downtime, I'll be walking quite a bit. G'day trendsetters, a wave with my gimpy arm. Chugging along here, knocking out 3 miles. Current pace, certainly slower than riding the bicycle. In fact, I'd begun my walking routine about a month ago because I was really interested in dropping a few pounds, and I found that walking, in my case, really helps shed belly fat, and also it's a good exercise just to keep the body moving versus just riding the bike, which isn't always impactful upon the entire body. Sleeping is a challenge with an injury such as this. This is my temporary setup. So you have the regular pillow. I'm going to use 2 pillows. Basically, I spoon the bottom one with my legs either side in the fetal position, if you will. Then I rest my affected arm, etc., on top of this pillow and manage to get some decent sleep. Alternatively, you could sleep on your back and place a pillow beneath each of your arms, but if you're a back sleeper and you snore, well, that may not be so much fun. But whatever happens, the fetal position is more likely going to be the fecal position because you're going to feel like shit. Keeping the positive aura going here, whilst I may not be on the bike for about a week or so, there are still plenty of things I can do. I already mentioned walking. I can still drive my beloved muscle cars and sports cars, which are all manual transmission. And there's various other projects around the house which I will now turn my attention to, obviously limiting the use of my left arm. And I can also give you a gimpy wave. Hi. After approximately a week, I'm likely going to begin some shoulder rehab using pain as my guide. I won't be going crazy by any means. There are some exercises which I'll likely show to you in part 2 of the video that I've undertaken, and they have really helped me out in the past with this sort of injury. And on to the $1 million question. How is the bike? Well, here is the bike that I crashed on yesterday. I cleaned it up. My beautiful T-Lab X3.22 titanium gravel bike. The only damage I've found so far is that solitary paint chip on the top tube. Some people might say, why are you painting titanium? Well, because it's my bike. You don't like it? Tough. And the other thing of note here, look at those tyres. That's the Pendergrass Gravel King X1 on the rear in 700C by 40mm. And I'm doing something crazy. I'm mixing tyre sizes. We've got a 700C by 45mm X1 on the front. Breaking the rules around here, the rules of convention. This bike would never fly in a UCI gravel event. Rules are meant to be broken within reason, and we like to keep things interesting and spicy around here. Quick shout out time to my good mates Dr. Payne and Hank for keeping me company during my ride home after the crash. It's always nice having someone shepherd you when you're feeling a bit dodgy. Wrapping up, because I was able to ride home about 25 miles, including getting in and out of the saddle, which really I thought bodes well for my recovery. If the swelling reduces by perhaps 5 or 6 days time, to the point where I feel comfortable, I may ride my bicycle in the company of the lady gravel cyclist or just myself. Easy, nice and easy, just to see how I feel. The 25-mile ride that I took home, I mentioned earlier, at least 15 of it included some rather bumpy, potholed, mixed surface roads. And there was no ibuprofen involved. It was tolerable, but the one thing about this injury is it is really sapping my energy. My body is clearly healing, which is great, but I'm feeling pretty knackered and I want to go to bed pretty soon. That's it for now, trendsetters, and don't forget, my circumstances may be very different to yours or something you've experienced in the past. If you feel the need, consult a medical professional to evaluate your injuries and potential surgery options, etc. Coming soon, part 2, where I will keep you apprised of my progress. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for real-world discussions such as this one. No bullshit gravel bike reviews, other product reviews, ride experience videos, and my favourite, general madness. Here comes the welcome wagon. Hey, what? Hello, what are you doing here, boys?
Hey.
Hi, girl.
It's okay.
As all of it is released to the channel, I'll see you in the next video.